Yeah, HQ, welcome in. I'm Eric Casillas with CBS Sports senior NFL writer Jonathan Jones. There's a lot on the line in this Monday Night Football game. If Philly won, they would be in first place in their putrid division. If Seattle lost, they would drop out of first place in their beautiful division. And there were an awful lot of people that wagered $1 or $2 that are either really upset or really happy. This was wild. Let's take a look how it all went down at Lincoln Financial. There you go. Seahawks, Eagles. Seahawks have won and covered 6 straight against Philly. Russ saying, let's get it going again. Well, already up 7-0. Chris Carson says, I'll help. Nice run. Refused to lose. Refused to go down. 16-yard score. Seahawks up 14-0. Felt like it was like 34-0 at that point in time. Seahawks got the first 14 first downs of the game. But Philly got going eventually. 17 seconds left in the first half. Carson Wentz says, we got to get on the board here. You know what I'm calling? Dallas Goedert. 3-yard touchdown. They missed the extra point. So all of a sudden you look up and you go, we played terribly. We're still only down 14-6. Seattle kicked the field goal, made it 17-9, and then looking for more. And who are you going to? DK Metcalf. He was just a beast in this game, all over the place. 13 targets, 10 grabs, $177. He now leads the NFL in receiving yards. Seahawks got a field goal up 20-9. So Philly needs some. But what? Down 11. Yeah, if you kick a field goal, you're down 8. But on 4th down, they go. They don't kick the field goal. Instead, yikes, intercepted, and they don't get it. So, looks over, though, right? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Seconds to go. You got a Hail Mary and then onside kick. You're not going to get the Hail Mary. You're going to get the Hail Mary. Richard Rodgers with a nifty grab. So now the 2-point conversion, they're actually going to cover the spread. No, if you had Seattle. You're up with less than 20 seconds to go, and they need a Hail Mary and a 2 to beat you, and they get it. What? Yeah. Seattle goes to 8-3. They're still in first place in their division. Philly, they're in 3rd place in the NFC least. Half game behind the Giants and Washington. But I'll tell you, it feels like 100.5 games based on the way they played. Russ, 22 of 31, 230 and a touchdown. DK Metcalf mentioned, double-digit grabs, $177. Carson Wentz, 2 touchdowns, one right before the end of the half, right before the end of the game, both in the final 30 seconds of the half/game. He also led the team in rushing at 42 yards. Everybody else on Philly combined for 28. And Goedert, 75 and a touchdown. Nice little game for him. There you go. You know, you got the feeling that they just couldn't stop him tonight. Too big, too strong, too fast, too much coming at you. You see, did it in that wild card game with a 17-9 score. He had 7 for $160 and a touchdown. Well, he didn't exactly slow down in this one. And you know, well, he didn't score in this one. He got tackled on the 1. He easily could have scored in this one. He has been fantasy goodness against Philly. All right, everybody in the pool for this one. Scott Pioli, 5-time NFL Executive of the Year. Brian McFadden, our 2-time Super Bowl champ. Joining JJ, I'm Eric Casillas. Scott, Seattle wins. Come across, get it done, check the box. But were you impressed by the Seahawks tonight?
I was not, Eric. I was actually disappointed. Coming into this game, I thought after this midseason lull that they had experienced, that this was going to be their coming out and climbing out of this doldrum that they were in. But they didn't. They didn't, and they had every opportunity. You know, it kind of started a little off-center in the first quarter when they had those 2 4th downs that they didn't convert. One that was that was 4th down and inside the 5-yard or 4th and goal, and they just seemed off kilter all night. And again, they need to be a better team very soon if they're going to be the best in the NFC West and also make a run into the playoffs. One of the things I was most disappointed with tonight was I thought they were going to reestablish the running game. Early in the game, Chris Carson had a couple of good runs, but at the end of the night, he's looking at 40-something yards, and that is not going to get it done in December or January if you're going to be one of the teams making a run into the playoffs, Eric.
B-Mac, sometimes every once in a while you go see a movie and you walk out and someone says, "What'd you think?" And you're like, "I don't really know. I don't know if I liked it. I don't know if it was any good. I have no idea. I got to think. I'm not sure." If someone says, "You feel better or worse about Seattle?" I don't know. I'm not really sure. I got a great receiver who's uncoverable. Running backs look good. Defense is definitely better. And somehow I feel unsatisfied. Are you impressed with Seattle and what they did tonight?
I was impressed with the defense. I'm right there with Scott with the concerns on the offensive end. Clearly, the inability to run the football could be alarming for them, but I think they have the personnel and the pieces in place to right that ship, especially as long as the backfield stay healthy. But I'm excited about the defense, and here's why. They made a bad offensive line look bad tonight. 6 sacks. You look at some of the newly acquired players on the defense. Carlos Dunlap, I think he had a half sack. Jamal Adams was just a terror from start to finish. He was all around the football field, and now he is healthy. So just being able to see this defense as a unit get 6 sacks on a bad offensive line team, that's a plus. That's a big building block for them, because throughout the course of this season, that has been an issue for them. Getting sacks, putting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, getting it off on third down. They were able to do a pretty good job in all 3 phases of that game, of their game tonight. And because of that, I was highly impressed with their defense, because this was probably their best defensive performance when you look at playing on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage the entire year. And I think that's something that you can hang your hat on going forward if they can stay healthy, especially with guys like Carlos Dunlap and Jamal Adams.
The only thing I'll say is me, JJ, and 9 people from accounting had 5 sacks when we played the Eagles. So it's not like, I mean, you get sacks when you play the Eagles.
You guys.
Yeah, that's right. That's not a lot. Were you impressed with the Seattle defense, with the offense overall? How'd you like the movie?
Yeah, so it was like a Guy Ritchie movie. I came out of it. I had a couple of laughs. I kind of enjoyed the scenes, and I said, I don't want to see that again. For the Seattle Seahawks, for me, the defense, I think B-Mac and Scott hit on it. They did show up, and they did get the sacks. They did pressure Carson Wentz. Again, not that hard to do, because a bunch of teams have already done it, but the fact is they pressured him on 19 times on 51 dropbacks. So credit to the Seattle Seahawks defense. What concerns me is Carlos Dunlap, who has been just an absolute revelation for Seattle and a fantastic trade by GM John Schneider, left the game with a foot injury, was doubtful to return there at the end of the game. And, you know, if it would have been a closer game, what would have happened? Very interested to hear from Pete Carroll on that. We're going to see how he reacts to treatment this week, about how he plays in the coming weeks and if he plays. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm concerned about the run game, that they went 2 for 10 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down, and that this was supposed to be the game that, all right, they got Carson, they got Hyde back. Last week against Arizona, they rushed for over 160 yards. This was it, and then they rushed for half of that against Philly. And, you know, that offensive line in the trenches, they were getting met and manhandled a little bit by that Philly defensive line. Some pretty big names, some pretty good dudes up there. I just wanted to see a little bit more out of that offense. So if that's a movie that plays again, I don't think I'm going to be watching it.
All right, now the other side is Philadelphia. Scott, I'll go back to you. And the question is, was that a moan from somebody? It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Somebody,
It wasn't me.
But are they done? Now, before we all say, yeah, just keep in mind, defense played really well in spots tonight, looked good, and was a bend but don't break. And they're still only a half game back of the Giants, who have no quarterback, and we don't know for how long, and Washington, who they get to play in the last game of the year. So I saw what you saw. I moaned too. Are they done?
I think they're close to done, Eric. I mean, it's one step, 1 foot. It's that old saying, 1 foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel. I mean, they're right there, and you know, I just don't know what they are. Right. I want to go back to talking about the movies, really, that we didn't want to pay for, or we kind of liked but weren't so sure about. You know, I don't know what to make of this division, and you know, we keep trying to make excuses for teams, and I just don't think that they're a very good football team right now, and I don't know what they can do to help fix them. You know, if we do want to talk about movies, I want to talk about Let's Spend the Night Together, 1983 Rolling Stones film, but let's get around to that when we get a chance. It's more interesting than the Eagles.
I like it. The Rolling Stones are Guy Ritchie. You get everything on this program. B-Mac, are we going to get a vote that the Eagles still aren't done because everybody else has as many problems? Washington has a brutal schedule. Giants don't have a quarterback. Dallas doesn't have a direction. And Philly still only a half game back.
They're done. 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 Done like burnt bacon. I don't care if you like it, you like your bacon crispy. You're throwing this in the trash. They're done. And the reason why I'm saying they're done, guys, the next two ball games, you might as well. I know anything can happen, right, on any given Sunday, but they're probably going to lose the next two ball games. You play against Green Bay and New Orleans. I don't know who's first, but you're playing against Green Bay and the Saints. And with that offensive line they currently have, with all the injuries and the inconsistent play, we might see Jalen Hurts in the next two ball games, because I don't think they want to put continue to put Carson Wentz behind that bad offensive line. Because if the Seattle Seahawks, a team that has had issues sacking the quarterback, if they sack you 6 times, man, have you seen the New Orleans Saints lately? All they do is live in the opposing team's backfield. They have beds, bunk beds, and couches all on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage because they're always there. And the same can be said for the Packers. They got some elite guys that can put pressure on the quarterback as well. So looking at the next 2 ball games before they get to the other teams on their schedule, I think if they lose those 2 ball games, it's a wrap. Yes, with the quarterback concerns with New York, the same can be said with Washington, and we don't even know what to think about the Dallas Cowboys. But that just tells you how bad the Eagles are. So me personally, EK, you said they're done. Yes, they're done all the way.
All right, so JJ, are they done? And you get a second part to that question too, which is, depending on your answers, yes or no, should they go to Jalen Hurts?
So I'm going to give you a quick little history lesson. In a previous life, I covered the Carolina Panthers as a beat writer. I covered them when they were 3-8-1. They hadn't won a game literally in 2 months. They went on to win the division, the NFC South, in 2014 by going 7-8-1. And I remember saying when they were 3-8-1, they're done. Went on every radio station in Charlotte, wrote it in the newspaper, told it to head coaches' faces. What are you guys trying for? You keep saying there's a chance. You're done. You're 3-8-1. Then they won the division. So I see the Philadelphia Eagles right now at 3-7-1 in an even worse division than the 2014 NFC South, and I hesitate to say that they are done. However, everything else that I know about football, taking that one season as a beat writer away, I'd say that the Philadelphia Eagles are done, because you have a quarterback in Carson Wentz who has no confidence. And I mentioned this in the pregame. It's like Clayton Kershaw in the postseason before he finally got rid of his demons and exercised those demons. It's similar to the yips. He's holding the ball forever, so afraid to make mistakes. He had enough time back there in the pocket, even tonight. And yeah, you know, the pass rush got to him a few times, as the pass rush is supposed to do. But you can't win with Carson Wentz right now, and I don't see a win on their schedule until week 16 when they face Dallas and then a toss-up against Washington. But even still, I think that Washington or New York or both of them can get to 6 wins, and that only gets Philadelphia to 5.5. So it's hard for me to see a path for Philadelphia to get enough wins to win the division. All I'm saying is I've been there, I've lived it. Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if the Giants and football team finish at 5-11.
Yeah.
Especially if the Giants don't have a quarterback. I don't know if Philly can get to 5-10-1, but who knows? I'm sort of in the Scott Pioli. I don't count anybody out anytime, anywhere, anything. Every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed. So let's wrap it up this way, Scott. Whether you think you're in it or not in it, you know, he looks like he's just, whether it's the line or him, he's just like a hitter that's in a slump. Do you go to Jalen Hurts at all? Some of the time, none of the time? If you're Philly, I see B-Max nodding his head. He's going to say yes. What do you say, Scott?
I'm just going to disagree with B-Mac tonight. That's what I want to do today. No, I just wouldn't put Jalen Hurts in there because their offensive line is so bad. I like the kid, Hurts, and I think whoever they put in quarterback it's going to be tough sledding. But to do that to a rookie who's still trying to learn how to play the game at the NFL level. I'm just concerned that you take a potentially good young quarterback and he starts learning really bad habits early. And again, whoever the quarterback is, they're going to take a beating. Now, the other side is you could say, well, do you really want to put your $30-something million quarterback at risk like that? Again, if you think that Jalen Hurts is the future, then you can't put him at risk like that.
I mean, let's throw him out there, guys. You used a second-round draft pick on Jalen Hurts, a move that surprised a lot of people. But seeing what's going on with the offense right now and seeing how bad your franchise quarterback has been playing, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, throw him out there. Let's see exactly what he can do. Let's see him fight through adversity. And let's see if he can give us some type of spark. Because if he can give you a spark, now you have something to consider going forward. You have a lot of money tied in Carson Wentz. But right now, if you don't showcase Jalen Hurts, put him out there in the lineup to see exactly what he can do, you're pretty much you're tied to Carson Wentz once again. So let's see what can happen. Let's see what he can do. I mean, the offensive line is not changing. The personnel is what the personnel is. The pass catchers, they're not changing. The pass catchers will be what they are, what they've been so far this season. But let's put the young fella in the game. We know he has athleticism to make people miss. Maybe he can actually help the bad offensive line play out. Put him in there for the rest of the start of the next game. Let's see what happens. Because I can tell you this much, if you keep him on the shelf, next season, there won't be any conversations about who the starting quarterback will be. It will be Carson Wentz. You know why? Because we have yet to see anything from Jalen Hurts. So until then, if you want to see exactly what you have in store in this second-round draft pick that you drafted, put him out there in the line of fire. Let's see how he answers the call.
You know, B-Mac, I completely agree with you on that. And I don't know that he's going to succeed out there. And I don't think that you're saying that he's absolutely going to succeed, right? But that there is potential there. I just don't think that anything is going to change with Carson Wentz. We talked about this in the pregame, how maybe he just needs to go back to the Dakotas, go hunting for a little bit, get his mind right, take a few months off, and come back in 2021 refreshed and recharged, because it's not going to work for him this season. I feel very confident that I can say that definitively. Jalen Hurts could get a huge boost playing in December, trying to play them into the playoffs, maybe even getting to the playoffs and hosting a playoff game there at the Lynx. So I see an upside there for Jalen Hurts. I also see, if you're Philly, you can't do anything with Carson Wentz until 2022 because of his contract, because of where you're at with the salary cap, because he's uncuttable, he's untradeable with his deal right now. So why don't you go ahead, see what you have with Jalen Hurts. If you don't have it with him, maybe that offers a little bit of confidence, an injection of confidence, if you will, in Carson Wentz that gets him rolling just a little bit. I don't know, but I do feel that you have to do something to get this ball rolling, especially in a winnable NFC East.
I feel like the guy who's investing in photo mats and new Coke, but I still don't think Philly's out of it. Just because I just don't. I mean, I saw Dallas go up and beat Minnesota when I thought they were dead. You need to play like 2 good weeks.
It can happen.
That's it. You just need 2 good. Anybody's in this division, because it's so bad with these 4 teams. Anyway, well done, gentlemen. Appreciate it. All the terrific references. Scott Pioli, B-Mac. You want more B-Mac? We have more B-Mac. His podcast game is strong. Doing it with Patrick Pederson. All things covered. You download, you subscribe, you enjoy. All right, let's look at the fantasy implications from what happened in Philadelphia. Russell Wilson, very pedestrian. That was not what you were looking for with the 230, just the 1 touchdown. Carson Wentz actually had the better fantasy game because he had 1 extra touchdown on that Hail Mary. And again, he had 42 rushing yards. The entire rest of the team combined for 28. DK Metcalf is a full-grown man. Dallas Goedert. I mean, this was Goddard and Metcalf did what they were supposed to do. They were the big players, and they came up big. Chris Carson, welcome back. He's been still, working his way back from injury. He had a touchdown for you. All right, Chris Towers, part of our great fantasy team. Chris, what'd you take from tonight, right? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go here. I'm not sure I have a definitive one way, but what did we learn tonight?
Yeah, you said Carson Wentz is like a hitter in a slump earlier in the previous segment. The thing about a hitter in a slump is every once in a while you'll hit a line drive right at a third baseman or get caught at the warning track. Carson Wentz looks more like Rick Ankiel when he was a pitcher or Chuck Knobloch trying to field. Like, this is I don't want to be mean, but he's playing like Mitch Trubisky or Blake Bortles, someone who nobody considers a starting quarterback. And, he was really impressive in the second half last season with what he did without those weapons. And that's why it's so difficult to write him off. But it's also, that kind of makes it more difficult to say, well, it's just the situation around him, because he is getting, when he does get clean pockets, he was pressured on 19 of 52 or 51 dropbacks, like JJ said, but he's getting clean pockets and he's still not making throws. He's airmailing things. There was a little screen pass at the end on that 3rd and 30 to Boston Scott, and he threw it so that Boston Scott had to reach for it, and it kind of made it so that Boston Scott didn't have a chance to do anything with that play. They ended up losing yards on a 3rd and 30, which is frankly almost impossible to do in the NFL, the way a defense is going to approach that. So the way things are going for this Eagles offense right now, the way Carson Wentz is playing, you're starting Dallas Goedert. He finally gave you the game we've been hoping for, and I think he's going to be something like that moving forward. I don't think there's any way you can sit Miles Sanders. I know it's been disappointing lately, but you just have to go back to before his injury. He had a 74-yard touchdown run against the Steelers. He had a 74-yard carry in the game before. There aren't a lot of running backs with his kind of big play potential. And, unfortunately, he did leave a few points on the board today with another drop on a downfield target. That's been an issue for him. But the way they use him, I still think he's probably worth starting as a high-end number 2 running back. After that, Travis Fulgham played 52% of the snaps today. Jalen Reagor didn't do much. Alshon Jeffrey looks like a husk of his former self. So I think maybe Zach Ertz, if he gets back from his injury, you can start. But this is a really, really bad situation for fantasy right now.
One, I'm totally stealing, looks like a husk from himself. I'll be using that all the time now. I've never heard that before. I love it.
You can have it.
And I really like the fact that you say you don't want to, be mean, and then you trash 3 guys with a smile on your face. That's why I love you. It was beautiful. That was a terrific answer there. I need a terrific answer for this. What if I have Will Fuller? What if I need somebody at wide receiver? Will Fuller's now done for the year. He's been one of my mainstays on my team, and now I'm looking to you. I can't get Deebo Samuel. He's the one I would obviously want to get first. Who else can I get? Maybe it doesn't even have to be that wide receiver position. Where can I go fill in?
Yeah, I think the biggest pickup this week, if it's not Deebo Samuel and if Josh Jacobs' ankle injury keeps him out, which it sounds like there's a decent chance it will, Devontae Booker, he is in line for a huge role. Jalen Richard hasn't played in the last 2 weeks with a chest injury. If Josh Jacobs doesn't play with that ankle, we saw last year DeAndre Washington got 3 starts for the Raiders. He averaged 18 carries, 6.3 targets, 20.4 PPR points per game. That is a really valuable role. The problem is they're usually splitting it at least between 2 guys. And so Josh Jacobs doesn't really get the receiving work. Devontae Booker or Jalen Richard don't really get the rushing work. If Devontae Booker is the only guy who's healthy there, he could be a week winner with the fantasy playoffs on the way. If you're fighting for a playoff spot and you need a running back, Devontae Booker is going to be maybe someone you spend all of your remaining fab on.
There you go. Very well done. Thank you for breaking down tonight and what we need to do this coming week, getting close to playoff time in a lot of leagues. Chris Towers. All right. You want more of what we do fantasy football-wise? We got you covered, all the different platforms, including the podcast game. It's pretty strong there. You download, you subscribe, you enjoy.